Hey everybody, I'm Trevor.
I'm Vincent.
And this is the Anthony and Todd Show. And today we're going to be talking about the latest Xiu Xiu project, Girl with Basket of Fruit.
Yeah.
And leave out those thes and uhs because they don't matter.
Xiu Xiu is a experimental outfit founded by Jamie Stewart, and they put out some fantastic music throughout the years, whether it's their last release, Forget, which is combined experimental music with pop, creating this sonically beautiful and emotional soundtrack, whether it's also their cover of the soundtrack of Twin Peaks, which has even made this Twin Peaks soundtrack even more noirier. I don't know if that's a word, and also more like surreal than David Lynch and Angelo Badalamenti could like ever imagine. And some of their older hits like Fabulous Muscles, which is just catchy, bold, also very upfront about what it is, not afraid to say anything. Jamie Stewart and company are not afraid of what's on their minds and just being very bold and out there. And on this new project, I think we're getting some of their most experimental and I guess out there work yet. This is a complete contrast to Forget. This is not their pop record. This is to just be completely in a void.
This is Tangerine Reef done right.
Is it? Do you think so? Tangerine Reef-esque? I don't see it as that. I just see it as like...
No, Tangerine Reef sucked, but I think it's the same concept as that, just not underwater.
I feel like you're just like, in a sense, locked away in a cell, and after a while your own mind gets to you. I feel like that's this album for me. It's just very like internal, a sense. It's a lot of internal thoughts and just like ramblings as you're kind of stuck in this void and going crazy with yourself in this kind of like solitary confinement. And I think we're just getting just a lot of interesting production choices throughout. Like on the opening track, Girl with Basket of Fruit, we're getting these like almost African polyrhythm style drums with these like kicking mechanical like drums that are just completely off there in a wall, and sometimes they just go on their own changes as Jamie Stewart's very like monotonely just saying these words throughout, like girl with basket of fruit, girl with basket of fruit, and it's just like it is so like flat in a sense, his performance of it, but it ends up being really catchy in one end.
It's really non-expressive.
Yeah.
But I think that's the point.
Yeah.
It almost like works. It almost works as a sort of like vocal percussion without actually like being. Dumb comparison. Any Fatboy Slim song.
Okay.
Where he just like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Continue.
He just like sings or says something, and then it's literally just used all over, like the Rockefeller Skank. It's like that. That's like what this is.
But like we're getting like strange lyricisms throughout, to the point where like throughout a lot of this album I have no idea what Jamie Stewart and company are talking about. Like I don't, for the most part, a majority of the Xiu Xiu records, I have no idea what's going on. And I love it for that, and I think the lyricism is very toned to their own, and like I can sense depth to what they are talking about. I just don't know what it is for the most part. Like some tracks are easier to figure out than others. But on the first track, we're getting lyricism about someone who has frogs going up their butthole, and they're being smashed to death. I don't understand, but cool. I haven't heard anything that like absurdly nasty since like MC Paul Barman's record, and that puts him to shame in this extent. It's just like childish nastiness in a sense. It's just so absurd and out there. Like I can't. It just makes me kind of cringe, but it's like I like that it's there. It's just when you think about it, it's just like why? But like why not? I guess. Moving on to some like more interesting choices, I think it's Amargi v Mu. We get this very like jagged, what I can only assume is violin that starts off very like calm and peaceful, but then it just essentially sounds like you're playing a violin with a saw. Like you're essentially just scraping the violin to death. That is, it just becomes this very like sharp, ear-piercing melody as Jamie Stewart just kind of.
It sounds almost as if when you play like a violin too hard, your bow can unwind and all the strings will just like fly off. That's like what that sounds like if you continued to play like with just a piece of wood versus like at the back of the bow versus like the horsehairs. Yeah, that's like what it feels like.
And then we get heavy drums and a mix of like thick. It's not like thick bass, but it's like thick bass like strumming or fingering. I guess it's just that style of. I don't know how to explain it. the style of strumming where I guess it's more like you let the strings vibrate more. I know that sounds stupid. Do you know what I'm trying to explain?
I think you like I think you're talking about like if you play one note on a guitar on one string and then you go to the next one, but like you don't stop the first one.
Yeah.
And you let it just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like almost got more like a reverb.
Yeah.
It's like the comparative to like a pedal tone on a piano.
Yeah.
Like if you hold down the pedal and you let everything just go.
Yeah, it's you don't stop it, you don't mute it, you
Right.
just keep it going.
Yeah.
For a long time. We get like Pumpkin Attack on Mommy and Daddy, which is essentially just like this electronic banger that we're getting all these like vocal snippets thrown in and out, and it's just confusing. It's this long like strobe light mess of everything. You're getting blinded by the production that is just so thumping and catchy and in your face. Moments like Mary Turner, which is talking about lynch mobbing, and especially the case of Mary Turner, who was a notable person, or not one of the more notable examples of someone who's been killed during lynch mobbing, and essentially just hearing that on a track, essentially a narrative of that on the track, in this very like, I guess, in this very like experimental warehouse type setup, is really interesting, and it's one of the more narratively easier moments to grab on here while still being one of the more harder ones because of the content that's in it.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. It's
easy to follow, but it's hard to swallow.
Yeah. And then we got tracks like Scissors, which is just some of the most out there.
You pronounced it wrong.
How is it pronounced?
Scisssors.
It's like you have to pronounce it like you're snake. Which is just, it is just sonically just this like massive void in like this deep dive into these, I guess, this essentially just unorthodox warehouse, this unorthodox toy box that like Jamie Stewart and company are playing with, where we just keep on getting more elements and throwing at us and nothing really adds up. It's essentially like being in a dream. It's essentially what surrealism was all about, just like not even making sense of what's around you, just keep on going and like nothing adds up, nothing ever has to add up, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And then going on to Normal Love, which is a fantastic duet between Jamie Stewart and the frontman of Oxbow. Eugene Robinson's voice reminds me of like Charles Bradley was in a punk band. So it's like the essence of a Screaming Eagle of soul, but just like a Screaming Eagle of punk. But like I like that like very raspiness, but it's a soulful raspiness, which is nice in contrast to very like the nasally almost beauty of Jamie Stewart. It's these weird two vocal tones that are unique in their own sense, but being put on top of each other. And I just think on this very like minimal, breathy, kind of natural flowing track, it works out really well. We're getting like a lot of these interesting different like soundscapes and breathing moments throughout. And I like how this album plays out because the first two tracks are very heavy. Especially the first, I think more or less the first four tracks are the first two tracks are heavy, very heavy, but then we get a moment to breathe, we get back into the shit, and then we get into Pumpkin Attack on Mommy and Daddy, which is more like easier to swallow moment because it's a single. Right. It's also like there's also nothing too complex to it. One essence, I guess, and compared to the rest of the album, I guess. But then we leave that, go into another moment, and then we come to the last. We go through some more we go through a lot of I guess tougher scenarios and moments, but then we go down to this very like peaceful closer. I think it just lays out really well. This thing's only 36 minutes, surprisingly, and I think it breathes really well for a project like this. As someone who listens to experimental music, I thought it was very fun. I don't know what Trevor's stance on this is, but
I'm not much into experimental music. I can't say I've like cared for Xiu Xiu in the past besides the music of Twin Peaks. And I feel like I like the music of Twin Peaks because they had a direction, and they obviously set out to cover the soundtrack of Twin Peaks, and they put their own spin on it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I know that I know the music of Twin Peaks, so I understand their differentiating like what they did. But on Forget, I feel like I didn't like resonate as well with that because I just like wasn't 100% like sure what they were going for. And there were some moments that were like catchy, but there were other moments I was just like, what the heck? Like, this is weird. And then like we reviewed the Jamie Stewart project, like
Yeah.
solo project last year, and I just did not like that at all. This I feel like is definitely like a step forward, not for Xiu Xiu, but for my liking of Xiu Xiu. Like this is a step forward for my personal opinion of Xiu Xiu. I liked this record. I thought it was really weird and really fun, but there were also points where I like just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I went back and listened and tried to like understand it, and I still just like
Yeah.
did not understand it. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand the majority of this album. I think that's kind of what it is. It's more of like an internal monologue type deal where unless you're the writer of the track, you're not going to understand it.
Yeah.
And like I don't even understand like Jamie Stewart.
Well, there's another point to that
Understands
where
it.
I feel like every Xiu Xiu record is literally just a bunch of B-sides they threw together, and they're like, hey, here's a full-length project. And it can literally be like violins and Jamie Stewart just going over the top of it. And they're like, wow, this is a song now. And then just throw it out into the world. Like, I feel like Xiu Xiu has no B-sides because they're just all released immediately.
I don't know. I really enjoyed this project. This is one of my favorites from them because I think it's, I don't know. I just think it was a good conclusion because we're taking a less poppy route. They have like less direction than ever, but more direction because of that less direction and this weird contrast of things. Yeah, I think this is incredible. I really enjoyed this throughout. It sonically is pushing the boundaries of music while at the same time not taking up too much time in doing so. There's long moments on here, but they feel breezy. Mm-hmm. This project was relatively easy to swallow for me for something that is taking as much risk as it is. And that's surprising. This isn't a pop record. There's poppier moments on here, but like I think this thing still takes a huge amount of risk. And I think that's incredible. They're able to do so much in such a short amount of time, but still leave a huge impact. Mm-hmm. And we'll leave it at that. Until next time, guys, I've been Vincent.
I'm Trevor.
And see you, boys.
Bye, everybody.